Gold, perhaps more than any other investment, reflects investor anxiety and fear. During good times, when the economy is humming along and the stock market is climbing, gold doesn't do very well. During times of economic anxiety and high inflation, investors are worried and gold stocks soar higher. I believe that the investor anxiety will continue, and that with all the money being printed by governments around the world, inflation will soon add to those worries. That's why the gold bull market is probably only in the third or fourth inning.
Hi, I'm David Skarica, editor of the Gold Stock Adviser newsletter, and this is my home in Eleuthera, Bahamas.
I got involved with the financial markets at quite a young age. I was 16 years old when I read the book Decline and Fall of the Welfare State by James Dale Davidson. That book got me fired up, and at that point, I knew investing was what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. A few years later, I began to write a newsletter, Addicted to Profits, and published my first book, Stock Market Panic: How to Prosper in the Coming Bear Market. In the book, I correctly predicted that tech stocks and real estate would top out and that gold and other resource stocks would enter a huge bull market. So I made a shift, out of tech and industrial stocks and into precious metal stocks in 2000, a move that protected my readers from a serious bear market. Later in 2008, at the depths of the financial panic, I wrote for the first time in detail about the excessively cheap valuations in gold and precious metal stocks. Many of those stocks climbed 100 to 200% after the article was published. How I got started writing the Gold Stock Adviser is an interesting story. I had recently moved here to the Bahamas, where my mentor Sir John Templeton also happened to reside in his later years. I was at the memorial service for Sir John and sat next to a gentleman. We struck up a conversation and we immediately hit it off, sharing views on gold, the stock market, and upcoming financial problems due to the financial crisis. It turns out that gentleman was the CEO of Newsmax. We kept in touch, and a few months later he asked me if I was interested in sharing my knowledge of the gold market with his audience. Naturally, I jumped at the opportunity. My goal with the Gold Stock Adviser is to show the average investor how to take advantage of the long-term trend in the gold market. From a fundamental standpoint, it makes sense to suggest that gold will trade higher in the coming years. Gold has long been considered an ideal hedge against inflation. And with governments across the globe printing money at unprecedented levels, inflation isn't a question of if it will happen, but how bad. So it's only prudent that investors educate themselves on how to protect and grow their assets in the coming years. The Gold Stock Adviser is a personal passion of mine, and I do everything I can to make it the best newsletter in the industry. I travel all over the world, climbing through jungles, crossing deserts, and going to some pretty inhospitable places to make sure I see firsthand how these companies are operating. I complete all of this due diligence on my own dime before I consider recommending the companies to my readers. The payoff for subscribers is a portfolio that currently has numerous open positions with triple-digit gains. Recently, we took a profit of 270% after holding a position for just 13 months. I expect many more of those winners over the next few years as investors continue to turn to gold as a safe haven from rampant inflation. Thanks again for visiting me here in Eleuthera. I'm David Skarica, editor of the Gold Stock Adviser. I hope to have you as a subscriber, not just for a few years, but for a lifetime.